Christmas. Welcome to the Lisa at the Edge podcast.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I know, check us looking all festive. And so actually we'll get you to just show off your festive tie. Actually, let's do that first.
Okay. Yep. I only dress up for Lisa at the Edge. I'll have you know. I would never do this for any other audience or anybody else, but yes, I got my snowmen, and then I have special crazy dog socks and this is just me in my home alone, so I went all out.
So just for those who are maybe just listening, Mike has a Christmas tie on with penguins and snowmen, and he's also got some sausage dog socks, and I think they also have Christmas hats on them. And then I've got my T-Rex Christmas jumper on, so it's a T-Rex dressed like a Christmas tree, and I've also added some snowflakes to my my headband today, because this is actually
your room is awesome.
Yeah, so I've got, do you know what? I don't have my Christmas tree up yet, which is so unlike me, but my office is like super festive. But this, I appreciate the effort you've gone to, because this is actually the last Lisa at the Edge episode of the year. Woohoo!
Good riddance 2020.
Yes. Absolutely. This is episode 25, which is crazy. And I am super happy to have you here. So I'll get you to introduce yourself in a minute, but the plan for today, if it's okay with you, is I want you to share with us how you got into tech, and your career path so far, and taking us to your role now as technical marketing at Dell. Share some tips from your career path, and then let's get stuck into what is technical marketing? Like, what even is that? You do such cool stuff for Azure Stack, and I can't wait to just talk about that a little bit more with you. So if that sounds like a good plan to you.
Definitely.
Yeah, awesome. So Mike, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself first, and then we'll get stuck right into how did you get into IT?
Awesome. First, let me say I am thrilled to be here. And this is just great. The work that you've been doing with Lisa at the Edge is just awesome for the community. I'm Mike Lamia, and I work on the Azure Stack technical marketing team at Dell Technologies. And like you said, we'll dig into what all that entails a little later.
Yeah.
But and I've been with Dell about 10 years. And overall in the industry about 25. So
there's a lot to get stuck into. And actually you have, you have a really interesting story about when you got a call about joining Dell as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later, because I love that story. Okay, so how did it all start for you? You know, some of my other guests, I think, you know, they've all had different ways that they've come into tech, and some have been more the traditional route and they've always wanted to do tech, and others have sort of fallen into it. So which bucket do you sit within? How did it all start for you?
Yes, I mean, I use the term with myself, born technologist. When I was just a small boy, how do you say it in a Scottish language? A wee lad?
A wee lad. A wee laddie.
A wee laddie, sixth grade, elementary school in sixth grade. My mathematics teacher brought out, and I can never remember at this point, she brought out either a Commodore 64 or an IBM PC XT.
Right.
And nobody had ever really seen this kind of thing, and she says, I'm gonna start doing something different. On this computer, we're gonna learn how to first just type, just keyboard.
Yeah.
And then I'd also like to teach you the basic programming language. So that was, an early on language. And I'll tell you, from the minute my fingers hit the keyboard, that was it. I never wanted to do anything else. And except for one instance that I'll talk about later where I considered maybe doing something different from technology, I've never thought about anything else.
That's amazing. I love it. A born technologist.
Right. Yep. That's the way I see myself. I just always have loved technology. So I mean, in my schooling, went to university, graduated with a management information systems degree, and then my first gig in the real world was about 25 years ago. I got hired in the RMA department at a computer parts wholesaler.
Okay.
And RMA is return merchandise authorization for those who don't know. So my job was, and it fit my personality just perfectly back then. I was kind of a jerk. I loved to prove people wrong. I lived to prove people wrong. And so we would sell components, motherboards, video cards, sound cards, etc., to resellers and retailers. And then if they felt that the component was defective, they would bring it in, and I would put it on the test bench to determine whether they were right or wrong.
So you like to get it working so that you can say, this is not the motherboard, this is a user error.
Oh man, declaring user error, my day was made. I'd see it work and I'd say, hey, come here a second. Hey, look at that. It's actually working. You're wrong.
That's like the classic.
Take this back and love it.
That's like the classic. I actually seen a sticker of this phrase recently from a website called, it's called Pimp Your Device, actually. So shout out to them. They do very cool stickers. But it's a sticker and it says, it works on my machine.
Right.
It's the equivalent of that, basically. It works for me. I can get it to work.
How about it? It's kind of that stereotypical. There was that Saturday Night Live skit too, where the desktop support guy would come up and they'd say, "Oh, something's wrong," and he'd say, "Move," and he'd sit down and fix it, and kind of be like, "Well, how could you be so stupid?"
Yeah.
Luckily, I think I've matured since then.
Yeah. So. I would definitely say that you've grown out of that, Mike. But that is hilarious. So where did you go to next after that?
Okay, so yeah, I built custom PCs for them too for a while. I went into phone and desktop support.
Yeah.
Then I got to my first real back-end infrastructure administration role, doing a server administration for a large Novell environment. Be interesting to see. Take a survey.
Yeah.
Who all is watching remembers Novell? This was back in the 4X days. So it was administering.
I'm positive that at university they use Novell. I'm sure I used that for like email or something. I'm sure when I was at university that was kicking around. Yeah.
They had the old GroupWise package.
Yeah.
That's probably what you used. There's still some of it floating around out there, but unfortunately they, as we say over here, kind of went the way of the dodo bird, and didn't quite make it for the long haul. But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Then here's a milestone moment came. I ended up at another large global organization doing server network administration and engineering. And I'll tell you, I walked in and this environment was a disaster. I mean, sir, I kid you not, servers weren't even mounted right in the racks. They were falling out of the
Oh,
racks.
wow.
Some hadn't been upgraded or cared and fed for years, some 7, 8, 9 years.
Wow.
And of course, I was doing a pager support. Anybody remember pagers?
Oh,
You remember a little pager, annoying. And so, I mean, it was just constant issues, and, getting called in the middle of the page, the middle of the night and stuff like that. That was the first time ever that I was like, maybe I should do something other than tech.
wow. So it was that bad an environment that made you think,
I was traumatized.
Is this where I want to be? To be fair, even hearing you describe like the rack and the servers not being mounted properly and stuff, that stresses me out. I have a thing for it's really strange. I love the cloud, right? But I have a thing for like data center management, honestly. So when I used to go to like the there's a cloud expo show in the UK in London, and half of it is cloud, but the other side of the hall is for data centers. So all the vendors come and show off their kit, right? So there's like generators and all these like different cool stuff. I used to always go and take a trip to the data center side because I absolutely loved all the beautiful cable management setups and just how amazing it all looked. And I was like, so organized, so neat and tidy. I loved it. So just hearing you describe the racks, I tell you that traumatized.
And the fact that we consider that art, Lisa, does not make us weird.
No.
I think that makes us, adorable and unique.
Yes, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and just and clean and pristine, even just across the board with the systems management front, and making everything is properly monitored, and such. All of that was missing. Right?
Yeah. So what did you stay there? What turned it around for you? Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm telling you, it's like one of those epiphany, moments of clarity. I discovered VMware ESX server. And at the time, it was at version 1.5.
Okay.
And I mean, I was just blown away. You mean, you can take a server and it's virtual, and then when you want to do maintenance on the physical box, I can just migrate it over to another box without any downtime, perform my maintenance. Nobody's none the wiser.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those virtualization concepts were just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And so I and my partners in crime at that time, on the team, we went crazy with it, researching and everything. And then at the 2.0 mark, that's when ESX really became production ready. And I mean, we virtualized everything in sight. If I could have virtualized my refrigerator, I'd have virtualized that. I mean, I remember we would be hauling out racks of crappy servers out of the data center as we virtualized them, and people be like, "Have we shut down the data center? What?" we're like carting out these big stacks of like 10 servers at a time, taking them to the dumpster, and managers are like, "What are we doing?" Like, we virtualized it, man. Don't you get it? It was hard for people to wrap their minds around the concept,
Yeah, I think it is a difficult concept to wrap your head around. I mean, I remember when I was just getting into IT, and I had, thankfully, two great engineers, and who then became friends, who sat down with me, used to whiteboard like a compute storage networking, and then hypervisor and virtualization, and all that kind of stuff. And I really need that sort of visual to understand things, like a concept. So I've got that in my head and I understand that now. It's like with containers, I get it, but it isn't, I don't fully get it until I see, and I've seen a good few slides on it now, because everyone's gone container daft. But they do some really nice visuals now to explain what is a container as opposed to like a virtual machine. And I need that visualization to help me better understand things, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I can imagine that seeing the IT department hauling lots of servers outside of the data center, and then you telling everyone that you'd virtualize stuff, they were probably like, what the hell is going on?
You're absolutely right. A picture speaks 1,000 words, and but boy, it just, luckily, the managers had faith in what we were doing, and they saw that it was rock solid, stable. In fact, we had, that the number of support cases were decreasing exponentially. So they saw the fruits of it.
Yeah.
But at first, of course, they were scared to death and like, does this really work? Is this ready for prime time?
Yeah.
So it was just, and by the way, I'll say, I went to the very first VMware VMworld, the very first one.
Yeah.
And actually the first couple, 2 or 3. And I remember the greatest speaker I'd ever heard in my life, one of the co-founders of VMware, Mendel Rosenblum. If anybody ever gets a chance to search for Mendel Rosenblum online and hear his old VMware, VMworld keynotes,
yeah,
I'm telling you, it'll be worth your while.
First of all, that is such a cool name.
Isn't it?
Yeah, like that is such a cool name. I'm gonna Google that after this.
You won't regret it. Yeah. Everybody, he was just such a brilliant scientist and technologist, and he would talk about, even at the very first VMworld, their minds are already blown by this virtualization and the possibilities. And then he'd come and he'd be talking about what they were researching, 2, 3 major releases ahead.
Yeah.
And people just be like chins on the ground, like, so yeah.
Yeah.
Side note.
So virtualization and VMware were the miracle moment that you were like, no, I definitely want to stay in IT and I want to be a part of this. And then what happened next?
So the story you've been painting, the Dell story.
Oh yes.
So at one point I was working in a gig. It was not that same one, and a hiring manager from Dell, the Heritage Dell organization, called. This is over 10 years ago, and his name was Noam, and he was saying that looking for some resources, and I got the call, and I remember thinking, Dell. Why would I ever want to work for Dell? My only experience with Dell at that time is obviously laptops, desktops, but then early versions of PowerEdge server, like going back Gen 6, 7, and I didn't exactly have the greatest experience back in the early days. So I was just like, why on earth would I want to do this?
Yeah.
But then he talked to me about that Dell was opening up these solution centers
Okay.
all over the world, where and that they were experiential test labs, if you will, where customers could come and get their hands on the technologies, and my job would be to set up proof of concept environments and to demonstrate the capabilities in the portfolio and stuff like that, and present to customers. And some of that was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then what sold it also was, Noam had educated me on, what was all in the Dell portfolio. I had no idea Dell did so much.
Yeah.
And so what I was being asked to be a subject matter expert of was, a lot, it was called AIM. It was an early systems management tool, one of the earlier systems management tools in the Dell toolbox, and sounded cool. And so, yeah, I came on board and joined up at the Chicago site and became the lead there, and was there for about 6 years.
Wow. And did you enjoy your time in the solution centers?
Oh, no doubt. Oh, incredible. I mean, just, got to play with all the latest and greatest toys, got in front of, hundreds of customers, just super brilliant people, both on the customer side and that I worked with, throughout the solution center.
Yeah.
So it was just a fantastic experience. Then, so during that time,
Yeah.
Everybody knew VMware.
Yeah.
All of my counterparts,
Yeah.
the solution architects there, knew VMware. And we were turning away Microsoft centered engagements. So Hyper-V.
Yep.
Eventually, when storage spaces came along, the Dell integrations into System Center.
Yeah.
Account teams would come to us and ask, can you demonstrate these things? Can we do a proof of concept? And everybody was turning them down. One day I just said, you know what? Heck with it. This is a big need. This is an opportunity for me to differentiate myself, do something that nobody else can. So I just dove in.
I really like that perspective and attitude. I think it's so important to, especially nowadays, right, with so much different types of tech that you can get into. I mean, the cloud world is there are so many different areas that you can get into, and I do think, and I've spoke about this before, that ability to try new things, to dive in, to step away from what you're comfortable with, that is how I think you will continue to be successful in tech. I think that is so needed these days. I feel like the age of the expert, whilst there's still absolutely a place for expertise and to be deep in on certain things, I think that more and more now we need people that are either generalists or have that ability to move about from different tech. So the fact that you've seen that as an opportunity, and maybe a little bit of competitiveness in there as well. You were like, well, everybody knows VMware. I'm going to try this other stuff, and then I'll become the Microsoft guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I just layer on that, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
If there's one of the things, a passion for this, if you just in career as a whole, you got to find your passion. You got to find what you love. What color is your parachute was a book that was, though I already knew that technology was where I belonged, that book, it's all about finding all the pockets of passion in your life
Uh-huh.
and seeing if they all merge somewhere.
Okay.
It's like, what do I love to do in my personal life? Oh, I love to, shoot pool, bowl. I like movies, TVs, certain things passionate about, or maybe you're woodworking or fishing or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And then there's certain things about what you do, not necessarily, like specifics, like I like this widget or whatever, but to concentrate on the transferable skills. I love to present to others. I love to educate
Yeah.
others. I love, that aha moment that others get when I'm making the complex simple. Find those transferable things and find out where they all meet, and then, man, find that and go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? This is a good segue into our next section, because so what we've heard from you is you're a born technologist. You love tech. You love to be deep in the weeds, technical, playing with labs and POCs and all this kind of stuff. And you are now in a technical marketing role.
Yeah.
So so obviously I have seen the stuff that you do, because we both work in Azure Stack and it's super cool. And I want you to talk a bit about that and share that, because from everything that you've just said leading up to now, some people might think, so why on earth are you doing technical marketing? And then just hearing you describe all your different areas of passion there, making the complex simple, educating, presenting, etc. I'm like, that is literally, you can see all of that come through in like your technical marketing assets and what you do. So tell us a little bit about how you then got into technical marketing, and let's talk about what is technical marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first let me, after Solution Center, so this super cool thing called Azure Stack came along.
Yeah.
And when the original leader of the Azure Stack organization here at Dell had announced, building an organization around that, man, I was just all over that, because Azure Stack was kind of another one of those almost. I don't think I'd ever been as excited about a technology since going back to that virtualization with VMware. ESX. It was like, man, the possibility of bringing the full-blown Azure on-prem, a real public cloud, the entire control plane, and having your very own instance of that control plane on your premises under your control. That was just super exciting.
I remember when I first heard about Azure Stack Hub, like I was a mind blown. Like I actually also think that's where. So I already working in an MSP, private clouds, data center, co-location, network, etc. I already somehow absolutely loved it. I don't know why. But then Azure Stack came along and I was just like, this is so cool. And I remember going to an Azure Stack airlift in Seattle, and it was so funny because it was just like, so pretty much full of male engineers, right? Quite a lot of them being like, I don't get this, I don't get the use case, what is it? Everyone was still very much like, I don't understand. And I was running about like any point I could to explain like how I viewed it and how excited I was, and what my version of sort of explaining what Azure Stack Hub was to people. Sorry, that absolutely did not make sense. I did a much better job when I was actually explaining it to people. But yeah, that got me super, super excited. And actually, I forgot about this part of your story, and this is a funny part. So tell us about how excited you were, so much so that how did you get into the Azure Stack team?
Oh, well, actually, before I tell you that, though, I have a super fun fact for you. I can't believe I never told you this, but this just dawned on me as you said. I was at the airlift.
No way.
And we were in a meeting together.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Do
we
you
were.
remember me from some meeting?
So there was a
I
really long table,
Yep.
a really, really long, yeah, table, and all the Dell people were at the other side from me, next to the windows, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it was me and Kenny.
Was it Kenny too?
Yeah, it
I
was
can
me
I
and Kenny.
I'm sorry, Kenny. You weren't as memorable as Lisa.
That was
I just remember what I remember about you. I don't remember what we talked about. I don't remember anything else except uh, this young lady is like a kid in a candy store right now. You,
yeah,
you
I was
super
honestly, I was
excited
like,
to
this
be
is so
there.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember that. Yeah, vividly. And so Paul Galgen,
Yes,
I believe, was in that meeting. No.
yes,
And so he was the original leader. He formed the Azure Stack Hub, what is now known as Hub team. And I just remember being on the call when he was announcing the forming of this new organization, and I was just like, I could not wait. I didn't want to send him an email because I didn't want like a little thing to pop up on his screen, just in case he didn't have two monitors saying, I'm in,
yeah,
you know, because I at the Solution Center is like, oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we talked. I mean, if it wasn't that very day, it was the very next day in the later evening, as I remember. And I just said, man, what roles do you have? I want in.
Yeah.
And that was great. And I got in on the what was known at that time as a CSE team, Corporate Solutions Engineering, and helping with all the deployments of Hub worldwide, enabling the services. And that was great. And I spent a couple of years doing that. But then I said, what I really, the entire time, my passion was more, um, I I want to um, get into the day two stuff.
Right.
How companies are using this to solve their business challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The ongoing operations, what happens after deployment is what more interested me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so that's when an opportunity came along with this technical marketing. To me, it was a no-brainer, especially when I spoke with my current manager, Connor. Hi, Connor. He explained it as, this is technical marketing engineering.
Okay.
And I know there's all kinds of technical marketing out there. I'm sure it just runs the gamut. But when he explained, this team is engineers. This is deep in the weeds, technical. You're going to be creating what I always want to do, the day two collateral.
Yeah. Yeah.
White papers, videos, interactive demos, everything that would help a customer understand how they're going to use this thing to actually help them gain a competitive advantage in the market. And of course, be make it real.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had to boil it down, I've got my notes over here. When I browse over, I just can't keep everything in my brain these days. So I'm a big note taker.
That's it.
Making it real. That's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that is so important because I don't think I've ever seen technical marketing until the stuff that you've done at Dell. Now, obviously exists, and it's out there, and but I think in these days it's so easy, and I think all companies probably fall foul of this. Is just churning out collateral, very high level stuff, like almost selling the dream, especially when it comes to things like cloud. I mean,
Yeah.
geez, there's so much out there. if anyone has anything they want to say or put out, they just tag on cloud and chuck it out there. And I think the stuff that you do is exactly that. It makes it real. So it's like, okay, you're bought in to say clouds is a strategy, or you've got that, but what does it what when you get this thing in your data center and when you start consuming it and when you start operating it day to day, and like, what does that look like, and what will it actually mean for your business and your your IT team and your engineers? And the stuff that you do, even your white papers and things like that, they're just like when you say white paper these days, everyone's like, oh, a white paper. But the stuff that you do is, it's what's the word? I don't want to say real again, but it is, right? It's like so
deliberate.
Deliberate. Yeah, it is. Like you and your preparedness for this and your note taking, all that goes into what you do as well, and it's really well thought out, and it's useful stuff. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Like, it's useful, it's meaningful, and I'm a big fan of that. Big fan. So, okay,
I appreciate that,
Connor.
And to your point there too, it's just what I will say, sort of my mantra is, I refuse to contribute to the noise.
Oh, yes.
So to me, unless it's a unique substance, I think I'm truly bringing something of value. I just don't want to do it. And some might say, I need to follow your lead and get more involved in the community, and stuff. But I think part of my hesitation sometimes is, well, I have nothing to say right now. Talk to me in 2 months when I had a chance to think about this and try it out in the lab. I don't like to talk from a position of just a cursory knowledge of something. I need to know that I know that I know that I know that what I'm talking about before I wanna. But I mean, there's some folks in the community, I'm jealous because there's folks that you rub shoulders with, that are just, they seem to be able to pump out super high quality, valuable stuff. And I get jealous because it's like, man, it would take me months to do that,
Yeah, I hear you. You want to talk from firsthand experience. And you know what? It's funny. So I always say I'm a non-techie in tech, right? Because and I've had a few people now on the podcast say, you're far more techie than you. But at the end of the day, I'm not technical, as in I do not get hands-on with, the tech stuff. That said, when I started in tech and working at an MSP, the CEO, sales team, and everyone were like, oh, wait, Lisa, we need to get you in front of customers. So that was like one of the first things. They were just like, we need to get you in front of customers. And I, similar to yourself, do not feel comfortable talking about stuff that I don't fully understand. So whilst I sometimes look at some salespeople and I'm like, wow, like, how are you? I mean, good and bad, right? Sometimes you're just like, wow, you actually sound like you know what you're talking about, and they don't have a clue. And then the other half is like, you sound like you do not know what you're talking about. But I just never had that confidence. So that is why I put so much time and effort into actually understanding what I was talking about. That's why I, asked people to sit in a meeting room with me and whiteboard. I was like, some engineers used to say to me, this is too technical for you. You don't need to understand this. And I was like, okay. Thanks for that. Even when I was project managing, right? I was like, no, I want to understand what you do, like the steps that you take, what do you do first? What do you do next? Because that will help me. It will help me manage the project. it will help me, which a project manager should do as well, is sort of protect your resources. So if I know what you're doing and what you're doing next, etc., and how it all interlinks, or what you're dependent on or you need from the customer, etc., I can help with all that. Some people just didn't get it. Some people did get it, and they spent time with me, and I was like, look, they were like, you know, what do you want to know, basically? And I'm like, start from the bottom. And we're like, compute, storage, networking, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, no, I that is what I want to do. I want to understand what I'm talking about. So whilst it's similar to you, it's not exactly the same, because you could produce so much. You should be part of the community, first of all, Mike, because
I know I feel so guilty.
Because do you know what? You are an absolute, like, you are exactly what the community needs. The way you explain things, you're patient, you care about educating people. You can tell that you want to help whoever you're talking to understand something better or get the most out of something. And that is absolutely what the community needs. And you don't need to be like pumping out quality content all the time. That's what I realized. So when I kicked off the podcast, this is funny. At the beginning of the year, I was like, right, I want to get more involved with the community. And then COVID hit and we went into lockdown. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, I don't know if I have anything to say. Pure laughter, because I clearly have a lot to say. Whether it's of quality or not is sometimes a bit hit and miss. But, you know, I was like, I don't know if I have anything to say. People were like, if you're going to start a blog, stick to a niche, etc. I was like, that's not me. Like, I don't want to stick to a niche. And so I just started. And, you know, podcasting has taken off. Blogging, I've not done as much of. And I do want to do more of that, because even from just a personal perspective, I know that writing or getting better at writing helps you in communication all around anyway. So I do want to do more of that. But I think what I realized this year is the community, the industry needs people to contribute and say whatever it is they have to say, right? Because it's such a huge, tech is so huge in the world right now, and will be such a big part of our futures. And at the end of the day, it's made by humans for humans, and I don't think that we will reach its potential, or, you know, there is the potential for it to not be used in the best way if we forget that part, the fact that humans are so important. And then that's why I think, like, regardless if you think you have a lot to say, nothing to say, don't have stuff to say regularly enough, definitely just get yourself out there and get involved. And that is my soapbox moment over with.
Hey, I mean, I just want to say, you know, I mean, you've been, you know, a real source of inspiration for me and many, you know, with what you've done. Now, you know, for a guy like myself, what I'm going to do in front of the whole world is commit to being better. I don't know about a SMART goal at the moment, but being better with community involvement. And as a New Year's resolution, I'm going to schedule a regular call with you next year to you know, you can be my community mentor. How about that?
Oh, I would love that. I love that. Do you know what? This is so apt. It's the last episode. We're setting New Year's goals. If anyone else has any New Year goals and wants to put themselves out there and commit, add them in the comments, and we'll reply and share your goals with us. That sounds awesome. And do you know what, Mike? I think we should do that next year. And if we want to do more technical sessions as well, like, I'd love that, because it's really funny. I really like watching people do technical things.
Mm.
It's really funny. Like when I was younger, I used to really like watching my brother play computer games.
Mm.
It's a very weird thing, but I you know, people are like, oh, why are you attending that call, or why do you watch that session? You're not technical. But that is how you gain perspective of the people that you're working with. Like, what do they do day to day? Like, you know, how do they work? And yeah, I love doing that. So we should definitely do that.
We're gonna do that. Oh, this is exciting.
This is exciting. Okay, so talk to me. So makes sense now, right? Super technical, born technologist, moves to tech marketing, but it's proper engineering work, really technical engineering. And then you just basically, the marketing part of it is sharing the information, right? So take us through a few things that you've been doing in your role, in terms of some stuff that you've been producing, and how you go about that.
Yeah, so I mean, so I guess the few things I'll highlight here: what white papers, interactive demos, and videos. I mean, so the white paper, I recently did a white paper about comparing lifecycle management, applying the BIOS firmware and driver updates to a Windows Server HCI cluster, and comparing doing that manually to doing it in an automated fashion using the our Open Manage integration extension into Windows Admin Center. And yeah, I thought that was you know a deliverable of mine that product management wanted to see. I was somewhat interested at first, but my enthusiasm grew as I started to dig into it some more. You know, we had a certain problem that we were trying. The problem we're trying to solve is administrators and engineers who avoid lifecycle management activities because of all the potential for human error and the time it takes, potential catastrophes that face you, and
it's time consuming and it's risky, right?
It time consuming and risky. Very, very well put. And so I started to see that automation is key here for doing this on a regular basis. And so we have the problem statement. There were certain claims I wanted to get. What I really wanted to hone in on is, okay, automated versus manual. How many steps is this going to save? How much, the IT administrator, there is attended time and unattended time.
Yeah.
There's the time they're sitting there clicking. They have to be thinking, and they're actually performing some sort of tasks. And then there's the unattended time where it's just they're watching watching the clock as the updates are churning.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see how much attended time is saved, and then if the overall maintenance window would shrink. And so I kind of had my idea of, okay, what are these claims? What are the proof points? What that I wanted to get out there or to test. And then just started a real scientific method. Okay, if I'm going to compare apples to apples, I have to have the exact same cluster. I'm following the procedures that our engineering set forth in our deployment guide. Luckily, there were procedures for both the manual and the automated.
Okay.
And so I just laid out all those steps on both sides, making sure I'm doing the same exact thing. So this is apples to apples. And set up the test lab and went through the testing. And I mean, it was just, as I think you could tell, based on how I tick, I really got into it. This is super cool. And then I found these amazing. So on the lower end of the spectrum, I found 82% fewer steps, 90% less focused attention from the IT administrator to do it, the automated way versus manual, and a 40% shrinkage of the maintenance window, the total time that this would require end to end. And I was like, these numbers are too good.
Yeah.
And then as I extrapolated, this was just on a 4-node cluster. When I extrapolated this out to a 16-node cluster, those numbers changed to 95% fewer steps and 97% reduced amount of focused attention.
Wow.
And of course, my counterparts in product management were like, we want to use those larger numbers. I don't use those. They sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was all scientifically proven. And I know when we were talking about, kind of preparing for this session and stuff, I was like, I challenge anybody, read the white paper. Yeah. We'll put a link to it. And I mean, I will stand up behind those numbers. Yeah. To anybody. It was great that when it was all said and done, to be able to say, these numbers are absolutely amazing. But you know how, like, you see hero numbers all the time. Yeah. Oh, 90% better, 80% less ever, all these things. Yeah. And there's kind of the eye roll. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. But I was like, I'll stand behind these numbers, man. I'll bet my life on these numbers.
But then you've got the detail behind it, right? That, like, back to our little phrase, making it real. So, we say all the time, our lifecycle management is for our HCI products is amazing. Saves you all this time, everything. Now, that's great. But what you've done with that white paper is, whether you use the percentages or not, you could delve in and be like, look, it took me this number of hours and minutes. And then it took me this, it only took me, less than whatever. That did not make sense. I'm trying to use my hands.
We follow you.
I'm using my hands to to do big and then small, and then I'm trying to talk about hours. But do you know what I mean? So you can back those percentages, because they sound like hero numbers, and you're like, oh yeah. But actually, in your white paper, you can be like, look, 82, steps, or versus 18, and it makes it real. And I think that's important, because people want to know how these types of things will actually impact their day-to-day job, and for better or worse, how and what does that mean for them? What can they do with that extra time? All those kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. So I love that you said at the beginning, you were like, yeah, okay, I'll do a white paper on this, and then you were like, right, I want to make, what kind of claims do I want to make here, and how am I going to prove them? And then you got right into it. And
lifecycle management, was you have to come from an administration background, I think, to appreciate automated versus manual. And I do. And I remember updates were the bane of my existence. And I was in plenty of environments where it's like, can we just push off these updates for as long as humanly possible? I don't want to deal with it. Just too risky, and you got to do it in odd hour. Hey, come in. Just what I want to do. Come in on Sunday at 3 a.m. and kick off updates and stuff. Yeah. But it has to be done, because oh man, with the security, the security vulnerabilities out there today, and what's on the line, we can't afford not to perform lifecycle management activities and apply the appropriate patches, because we just can't afford to not. Absolutely. the interactive demo. So that was an example of a white paper. Interactive demos, I get to get into a lab environment and actually click by click, this is precisely how I'm going to do this or that activity. What's neat about, you can go to our Dell Technologies demo center site. There's the whole hands-on experience. I look at it, there's different levels of hands-on based depending on where you are in, I'll use a marketing term here, based on where you are in the buyer's journey.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, the technologist that is just starting their research, you know, I can watch a video or read a white. Then they say, you know, I got to see this in action, man. How does this actually look? How do I actually perform some of these activities? That's where the interactive demo is great because it's guided. You can't shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you're guided where you're going to go. So you see what success looks like. Then from there, you might say, all right, this is great, but get me out of a canned environment, you know, because I want to break it.
Yeah.
I want to break it and fix it. And that's where we have our solution center. There's hands-on labs in the demo center. And then there's the solution centers where, you know, it's a real gear. You can come touch and feel. You could touch and feel pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Come into the centers and see the gear that you're actually going to be performing the testing on. And then if you want to take it, you know, the only thing left after that is I need the gear on my premises.
Yeah.
So I can integrate with my network and my other applications. So where I've been focusing on is sort of that interactive demo.
Yeah.
The guided canned stuff. So that's great. But then videos, I think video is what I'm really getting into these days. Oh man, I got to shout out my colleague. Hi, Heather Morgan. Incredible, you know, with Adobe, with the Adobe suite and just her illustration skills, animation skills. She's on my team. We've been working together for the last year. It's just been great. So I don't know why. I just, you know, I got the whole green screen, man, and all this, like my office. I mean, looks like a TV studio. Now went sort of the whole 9 yards, went all in with creating videos, and that's just been a blast.
You two have been a dream team creating those videos.
It's been so much fun. And I mean, the process is essentially what I do. You know, I create a storyboard and all my narration, I mean, word for word, exactly what I want to say. That approach isn't right for everybody. And some people are more, they are more natural and comfortable just winging it.
Yeah.
I like to be scripted out. And so then I run that by product management, product marketing, and others to make sure that everybody's on board. I'm getting the other thing I didn't mention about tech marketing. It's really all about showcasing the unique and differentiated capabilities that your organization brings to the table. So that's the part of sort of getting the messaging right. And that's been fun to learn about those things. And so, you know, get the storyboard, get all the messaging approved and everything, and then, you know, getting it filmed, getting into the lab. I do stuff with Camtasia and OBS. And then I kind of do my part, take it as far as I can take it, and then hand it over to Heather to just, you know, make it amazing.
I think, you know, these hands-on demos and video, especially because of COVID right now, are actually so important. I think video in it itself, video content is on the rise. People are really loving video these days. And I think that definitely just now because of COVID, but I think we'll see this will remain now. I think having those like hands-on demos and videos, etc., it's really important to have that content. It's really important to have all the different types of content covered, right? Because like you say, people on different stages of their buyer journey, but also people learn and consume content in different ways. Not everyone likes to read a white paper, not everyone likes to watch a video, more people, some people like to get hands-on, and you really do need to be catering to all of those types of people. Again, the human element of it is
Yep.
yeah, it's tech what you're doing, but a human's going to buy it, a human's going to use it. So making sure that you communicate with everyone about those unique benefits and making it real. I love that.
That's right.
Mike
Everybody
Lamia. Oh my God.
that
Idea. Mike Lamia making it real. That is what your
that my brand.
that is what your
I
blog or your YouTube or your content or whatever is going to be called.
I'm gonna do a T-shirt on that one. I mean,
Yeah,
not to get
love
too
it.
far ahead of myself, but
Yeah,
no, yeah, that's what I love.
yes.
Now we are at a solid hour. If anybody's still listening, I want to applaud them.
I know. Do you know what?
Look,
My guests always ask me, so when I was just recording them, when I wasn't putting them on YouTube, they were always about an hour or over. And I thought, when I put them on YouTube, I'll probably need to try and keep them a bit shorter. I had in my head, maybe 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. And then I was like, oh, we'll just try and keep it within the hour. But I never like to, I mean, we obviously prepped a little bit from this and we've got notes, but I never, if we're having like a great conversation, like I never want to shut it down. But you're right, we have been at the solid hour and you're on annual leave, right?
I am.
Yeah. So
Done for the rest. This is from a business technical perspective, I'm wrapping up the year with this. So it's just a thrilling way to wrap up the year, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode for ages. So let's wrap it up. And also I love that, like wrap it up like a little gift, and we can give it to Lisa at the Edge viewers. Let's talk a little bit about a video that will be coming in the new year. So talking about making the complex simple, making it real, helping to not add to the noise, but clarify some of the noise. What week are we on? Last week. It was last week. They're all merging.
I'm losing track too.
They're all merging into one. Last week, Microsoft announced the Azure Stack HCI OS went GA. Dell, we announced our new Azure Stack HCI integrated. Probably have not used the right words there. You can tell
integrated
me.
System.
Yes, exactly. We have to be on message.
Yeah, I'm the brand police.
Yes.
Watch yourself.
Yes, exactly. You can keep me right though, Mike. But yeah, so that is all super exciting, right? But it definitely has caused some confusion. I mean, episode 20 that I did after Microsoft Inspire is my most listened to episode, where I got on a bunch of experts to answer questions about Azure Stack HCI. Because it's definitely, everyone's like, what's this now? We're just this bit, etc. And you're going to cover that in the new year, right?
Yeah, so I got one of your illustrious team members, Mr. Michael Wells, to join. And we're going to clarify a couple things. What we're really going to hone in on, we're trying to get specific. We're going into, what is this? We talk about this entirely new purpose-built Azure Stack HCI operating system.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not general purpose. It's a brand new operating system that is focused on delivering the very best HCI experience.
Yeah.
So how does that differ from Windows Server? And I know that podcast, your episode 20, they dug into a lot of that. But what this new video that Michael and I are going to get into, I really want to make mention. You know, some people say, wait a minute, Azure Stack HCI, that was already on the market.
Yeah.
So what was that thing before, and
Yeah.
what's this new thing, right? So there's
Yeah.
two things.
Yeah.
And so from the Dell Technologies perspective, we're going to have two offerings out there in the market. So
Yeah.
we refer to them collectively as Microsoft HCI solutions from Dell Technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And what is and has been on the truck, we
Yeah.
refer to as Dell EMC HCI solutions for Microsoft Windows Server, or if you want to shorten that, Windows Server HCI.
Yeah.
And then what's brand new that we are going to RTS offer to the public in February is Dell EMC integrated system for Microsoft Azure Stack HCI. So we want to compare and contrast these. We set up the good old. We did some virtual whiteboarding together, and to just kind of clarify this whole thing. So we're excited. Now the only thing about it is there's no demos. I really hesitated to put out a video without demo. You know, I gotta see it. There's whiteboarding and it's technical, but all I'll say is that will then having that foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, everybody can watch that first to get very clear on what we have and what this new thing is, and how its value proposition and how it's going to help them win in the market. And then I've got planned new white papers, demos, and videos that'll get right into new features, functionality, demonstrating those and such.
Yeah. I can't wait for that. I am going to send everyone to that video. It's needed. It's you and Michael will be great. Absolute dream team right there. Do you know what? I love Michael. He is so, again, he's another person who is so patient and so great at explaining things. He really, really is. He's
we're going to need, I think it should be myself and Michael being mentored by you next year. What do you say? I put out the challenge to Michael right here and now. What do you say? You know, getting all into the community next year. What do you say?
Yes, Michael, challenge. Is the challenge accepted? You've got to let us know. But I think that is a great idea because you two honestly are so good at that kind of thing. So you can be the dream teams. The mics, making it real. You can have passion on the back of your t-shirt. Oh, I'm here for it. I'm already like envisioning this.
Eminem, making it real.
Yes. Oh, I can see your brand like building out in my head. Like I'm super excited. But no, I can't wait for that video. I think that's going to be so useful. I'm going to send everyone to it to get them to watch it. I'm going to be like, you want to talk about Azure Stack HCI? You've got some questions? Before we get into it, watch this video.
Love it. Thanks for the amplification.
That's what.
And we also want to show everybody the info. We'll get a link to the Info Hub site where, you know, all my stuff is. And hey, I'm always up for feedback. Anybody, you know, go out and see some of that stuff. If you got any suggestions for me how I can make things better, please let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll put the links in the description, so the white paper and the demos and the videos. And if you've got any feedback for either of us or Mike, reach out to him. Are you on social media?
I am. I'm on Twitter, Evolving Techie.
Oh, yes, you are.
Evolving _techie.
Yes.
And then that and LinkedIn, of course.
Yeah.
Anybody can find me. Those are the two primary ones at the moment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day off and coming on the show. This has been an awesome episode to end the year. I'm super hyped about your goals for 2021 and the commitments made on the show, and hope everybody else is thinking about what they want to achieve in 2021 as well. So thanks for coming on. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Lisa. This has been phenomenal. I really enjoyed this, and thanks. Yeah, but you're my community hero. Yeah, if I can get anywhere near closer to you in the new year, that'll be a real boon for me. So thanks. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me.
You're making me emotional. Merry Christmas when it comes, and have a happy new year. Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a great new year. See you later.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye.